My name is Fernando Martinez, and I'm 49 years old now, but this story begins when I was 27, working construction in Phoenix, Arizona. Back then, I thought I had everything figured out. A stable job with Desert Ridge Construction, a modest three-bedroom house in Tempe with a manageable mortgage, and a family that seemed as solid as the foundations I helped build every day. Jennifer Brooks Martinez, my wife of 7 years, and our 5 children. David, 6 years old, Lisa, 4, twin boys Marcus and James, 3, and little Sophia, barely 20 months old. I was the type of man who believed in showing love through actions, not words. 50-hour weeks, overtime when available, making sure the bills were paid and the kids had everything they needed. My construction salary was $3,200 monthly. Not much, but it was steady. Jennifer worked part-time at a dental office downtown, handling appointments and insurance paperwork, bringing in another $2,100 a month. Nothing glamorous, but together we covered our mortgage of $1 to $350, car payments, and the basics with a little extra for David's soccer league, Lisa's dance classes, and quality daycare for the younger ones. Looking back, I realize I was living in a carefully constructed illusion. Jennifer had been smiling during breakfast just 4 days before it happened. She'd made pancakes for the kids, kissed my cheek as I headed out the door with my lunchbox and hard hat. "Have a good day, Fernando," she said, like she meant it. It was a Tuesday in April 2005. I remember because we'd just received our tax refund, $3,600 that we'd planned to use for a family vacation to San Diego that summer. I came home at 6:30 p.m. expecting the usual chaos of dinner prep, getting David ready for his soccer practice that week and Sophia's bedtime routine. Instead, I found silence. The house felt wrong immediately. Too quiet, too clean. David and Lisa were at my mother's house. I'd find out later that Jennifer had dropped them there that morning with some excuse about running errands. The twins were at their grandmother's on Jennifer's side. Sophia was still at daycare, and I needed to pick her up before 7 p.m. or face late fees. I called Jennifer. No answer. Her 2003 Honda Civic wasn't in the driveway, but that wasn't unusual. She often ran errands after work, but something felt off. Our bedroom closet was half empty. Her jewelry box was open, most pieces gone. Our joint bank account had been accessed that morning. I'd discover later she'd withdrawn $3,000, leaving just enough to avoid overdraft fees, but taking most of our tax refund money. On the kitchen counter, folded carefully next to the coffee maker, was a piece of notebook paper in her handwriting. "I deserve to be happy. Don't look for me." That was it. No explanation, no goodbye to the children, no forwarding address. Just 10 words that shattered everything I thought I knew about my life. I stood there maybe 5 minutes, reading those words over and over, waiting for them to make sense. They never did. Reality hit in waves. First, the immediate panic. Sophia was still at daycare. The twins needed to be picked up. David had soccer practice. Lisa needed dinner and her bedtime story. Then the deeper understanding. This wasn't a fight or a temporary separation. Jennifer had planned this, methodically packed, taken money, arranged childcare, and left. She'd made a decision, and that decision didn't include her children. I picked up Sophia from Sunshine Daycare that night, her chubby little arms reaching for me like always. At 20 months, she was just learning to walk steadily and could clearly say Mama and Dada. When she looked around the daycare room, she said, "Mama," with that questioning tone toddlers use. I told her Mama had gone away, using simple words she could understand. It bought me time to figure out what to tell the older kids. My mother, Rosa Martinez, lived 30 minutes away in Mesa. She'd raised 4 children, mostly alone after my father died when I was 13. If anyone could help me navigate this disaster, it was her. I called from the daycare parking lot. "Fernando, what's wrong?" She knew immediately something was off. Mothers have that radar. "Jennifer's gone, Mum. She just disappeared." There was silence. Then, "I'll put coffee on. Bring the children here tonight." That's my mother. No drama, no questions, just solutions. The next days blurred together. I had to miss work, something I'd never done unless genuinely sick. Desert Ridge Construction was understanding, but I knew I couldn't make a habit of this. Construction jobs don't come with unlimited personal time, and I had a mortgage, car payments, and 5 children to support on my single income. I learned about the affair through Jennifer's sister, Monica. She called Thursday night, guilt eating her alive. "Fernando, I'm so sorry. I thought you knew. She's been seeing someone from her work for months. Robert something. They're in El Paso now." Robert Chen. I called the dental office looking for Jennifer. The receptionist at Dr. Patterson's office let slip that both Jennifer and Robert had quit the same day. Tuesday, the day she left. No 2 weeks' notice, no explanation. They'd cleaned out their desks and walked out together. The betrayal cut deep, but I didn't have time to wallow in it. David was asking every morning when Mommy would come back. Lisa, at 4 years old, didn't fully understand, but noticed something had changed and became clingy, always seeking to be near me. The twins kept looking for her at bedtime. Sophia kept saying "Mama" and looking around hopefully. I had 5 confused, hurt children depending on me to hold everything together. I made a decision that night, sitting at my kitchen table with a beer and a stack of bills. I wouldn't chase her. I wouldn't beg her to come back or even speak badly of her to the kids. Instead, I'd build something better. I'd become the parent she never was, and my children would grow up knowing they were unconditionally loved. The logistics were brutal. Daycare costs for Sophia and the twins went from part-time to full-time, an extra $950 monthly that stretched our budget to the breaking point. I had to switch to the early shift at Desert Ridge Construction, which meant less overtime pay, but allowed me to pick up the kids by 6 p.m. My mother helped when she could, but she still worked part-time at Target and had her own bills to manage. Money was tight. I cancelled cable, switched to a basic cell phone plan, and started buying generic brands at the supermarket. The kids noticed some changes, of course. "Why don't we have the good cereal anymore?" David asked one morning. I told him we were trying new things, being adventurous. He believed it because 6-year-olds want to believe their parents have everything under control. 4 months after Jennifer left, I hired a private investigator, not to bring her back, but to make sure she couldn't surprise me with custody claims. Later, Jake Morrison charged me $600 up front and found them in 2 weeks. Jennifer and Robert were living in a studio apartment in El Paso. Robert had found work at another dental office making about $4,700 monthly. Jennifer was waitressing at a restaurant bar called Applebee's, probably earning $3,400 with tips. "They're struggling financially," Jake reported. "Multiple late rent notices. Both have cars behind on payments. The studio rent is $2,500 monthly, which is stretching them even with combined incomes. Doesn't look like they planned this very well." I filed for divorce and full custody at the Maricopa County Family Court. Jennifer didn't contest it. She didn't even respond to the papers served at her El Paso address. Her silence spoke louder than any defense attorney could have. By Christmas 2005, we'd found our rhythm. The kids still asked about their mother, but less frequently. I decorated the tree alone after they went to bed, wrapped presents I'd bought with overtime. Money from weekend jobs. I made Christmas morning as magical as I could manage on our tight budget. David got a $75 baseball glove from a sporting goods store. Lisa got coloring books and a big box of crayons. The twins got building blocks. Sophia got a stuffed elephant from Target that she immediately adopted as her constant companion. "This is the best Christmas ever," announced Lisa, hugging her new coloring books. I almost cried right there, not because it was true. It wasn't our Christmas. Budget was $250 total, compared to the $750 we'd spent the previous year. But because she believed it, because despite everything Jennifer had taken from them, she hadn't taken their ability to find joy in small things. That's when I realized something important. My revenge wouldn't be dramatic or public. It wouldn't involve destroying Jennifer's new life or exposing her to friends and family. My revenge would be silent and devastating. I would raise 5 children who would never need her, never miss her, and never forgive her for choosing herself over them. The irony was perfect. Jennifer had left to find happiness, but she'd abandoned the only thing that could have given her lasting joy. Now that joy belonged entirely to me. By 2008, 4 years after Jennifer's disappearance, we'd built something solid. I'd been promoted to crew supervisor at Desert Ridge Construction, which came with a significant raise and better health insurance. My salary had increased to $5,300 monthly, and with careful budgeting and occasional weekend work, we were finally comfortable. The kids were thriving. David, now 9, was playing Little League and getting mostly A's and B's in 3rd grade. Lisa, 7, had discovered genuine artistic talent. Her drawings covered our refrigerator like medals of honor. The twins, Marcus and James, now 6, were inseparable best friends, excelling in kindergarten. Sophia, 5, was the star of her preschool class, speaking in complete sentences and showing the kind of confidence that made teachers predict great things. But the biggest change came in the form of Maria Santos. I met Maria at Lisa's parent-teacher conference in September 2008. She was there for her daughter, Emma, who was in Lisa's 2nd grade class at Roosevelt Elementary. Maria was recently divorced, working as a registered nurse at Phoenix General Hospital, earning about $5,100 monthly. She had this way of talking to children that put them instantly at ease, treating them like real people, rather than little adults who needed to be managed. "Your Lisa has incredible talent," Maria told me after we both finished our conferences. "Emma talks about her all the time. They're quite the artistic duo in Ms. Johnson's class." We started talking, and I found myself lingering in that elementary school hallway longer than I'd planned. Maria had been through her own divorce battle. Her ex-husband had been having an affair with his business partner and had tried to hide assets during the settlement. She'd fought for 18 months to get what she and Emma deserved. "The thing about betrayal," she told me over coffee at a local cafe 3 weeks later, "is it teaches you what really matters. Not the person who left, but the people who stayed." Maria understood the weight of single parenting, the exhaustion of being everything to your children, the way you question every decision wondering if you're enough. But she also understood the fierce protectiveness that comes with it. When she looked at my kids, she saw them as individuals with their own personalities and potential, not as burdens or complications. The relationship developed slowly and carefully. Maria never tried to replace Jennifer or rush into a parental role. She carved out her own space in our lives naturally. She taught Lisa more advanced drawing techniques and helped her frame her best pictures. She helped David with his math homework and attended his baseball games. She read bedtime stories to Sophia and the twins with different character voices that made us all laugh until our sides hurt. By Christmas 2010, Maria and Emma had become part of our family traditions. We went to see the Phoenix Zoo lights together. We baked cookies and exchanged modest gifts. By summer 2011, after careful consideration and long conversations with all the children, we moved in together. Maria sold her small condo, and we found a larger 4-bedroom rental in Scottsdale with good schools and enough space for everyone. The rent was $3,600 monthly, more than I'd been paying for my house, but manageable with both our incomes combined. I proposed to Maria at Sophia's 8th birthday party in April 2012. Not because I thought the kids needed a mother figure, they'd proven they could thrive without one, but because I'd fallen in love with a woman who made our already good life even better. The engagement ring cost me $1,500, 2 months of careful saving, but her reaction was worth every dollar. "Are you going to be a real mom now?" Sophia asked Maria after she said yes. "Sweetheart, I've been your real mom for a long time," Maria replied, kneeling to Sophia's level. "Now it's just official." The wedding was small and economical, close family and friends at my mother's church in Mesa. Total cost was $5,000 that we saved over 6 months. David, now 13, was my best man, old enough to stand beside me. Lisa, 11, was maid of honor in a dress we found on sale at Macy's. Sophia, 9, and Emma, 10, were flower girls in matching dresses Maria made herself. The twins, 10, were ring bearers in little suits from Target. It was everything my wedding to Jennifer hadn't been. Genuine, joyful, surrounded by people who actually wanted to be there. Jennifer had been completely silent for 7 years at that point. No birthday cards, no Christmas gifts, no phone calls, no child support payments. The children had stopped asking about her completely. When friends or teachers asked about their family, they spoke of Maria as their mother without hesitation or clarification. In early 2013, I received divorce papers from El Paso. Jennifer wanted to make our separation official so she could marry Robert. I signed without hesitation and had them notarized the same day. No alimony was requested, probably because she knew she had no grounds after abandoning the marriage. No custody arrangements were discussed, because she'd already legally abandoned her parental rights through 11 years of complete absence and failure. To provide support, the irony wasn't lost on me. Jennifer had left to be free and find happiness, and now she needed my signature to move forward with her life. Meanwhile, I'd found more happiness, stability, and genuine partnership than I ever had during our marriage. By 2025, 20 years after Jennifer's abandonment, our rebuilt family was thriving in ways I couldn't have imagined in 2005. David was 26, a mechanical engineer at Honeywell, earning $7,500 monthly, engaged to his college. Girlfriend Rebecca. He'd become a confident, responsible young man who'd played college baseball on scholarship. Lisa, 24, was winning regional art competitions and selling paintings in local galleries for $400 to $800 each, preparing for her 5th solo exhibition. Marcus and James, 23, had both graduated from Arizona State University. Marcus was working in software development, earning $6,800 monthly, while James was teaching high school history and coaching soccer. Sophia, 21, was completing her junior year at University of Arizona, double majoring in political science and communications, already planning for law school with the kind of focused determination that reminded everyone of me at that age. Maria had legally adopted all 5 children in 2015. They'd requested it themselves, wanting her last name and wanting the legal recognition of what had already been emotionally true for years. The adoption process cost $9,000 in legal fees, but seeing their faces when the judge made it official was priceless. The judge had asked each child individually if they understood what adoption meant. "It means Maria is going to be our mom forever," Sophia, then 11, had said with remarkable articulation. "Like officially forever. And nobody can take that away from us." That's when I realized my revenge was complete, though the final act hadn't yet begun. Jennifer had lost more than a family. She'd lost the chance to know the incredible people her children had become. She'd missed first. Days of school, science fair victories, baseball championships, art exhibition ribbons, first heartbreaks, driving lessons, college preparation, and thousands of small daily moments that really matter in raising children. She'd traded all of it because, according to my periodic internet searches, Robert had left her in 2019 for a younger woman. Jennifer was working as a cashier at a Walmart in El Paso, living alone in a studio apartment with no apparent prospects or relationships. But the most perfect part of my revenge wasn't what Jennifer had lost. It was what she could never reclaim. My children didn't miss her, didn't need her, and didn't consider her part of their story. She'd made herself completely irrelevant to their lives, and no amount of regret or attempts at reconciliation could change that fundamental reality. The doorbell rang on a Saturday morning in April 2025, 20 years after Jennifer had walked out of our lives. I was in the kitchen making pancakes for Maria and myself. The kids were adults now, living their own lives, but Saturday breakfast had remained our cherished tradition even when they visited. When the doorbell rang, something in my chest tightened. We weren't expecting anyone. Maria looked at me from the table with that look we share after so many years together, the one that says, "Who could that be?" Without needing words, I opened the door and barely recognized the woman standing there. Jennifer Brooks looked every one of her 49 years, and more. Her face was deeply lined with stress and disappointment, her hair thin and completely grey. She wore a wrinkled Walmart uniform, the navy vest and khaki pants representing the peak of her professional achievement. Her car, visible in the driveway, was a dented 2014 Nissan Versa that had clearly seen better days. "Hello, Fernando," she said, as if 20 years of silence could be bridged with a casual greeting. I didn't invite her in. "Jennifer, what do you want?" "I want to see my children." The words hung in the air like smoke from a fire. Behind me, I heard Maria's footsteps stop in the hallway. She was listening, ready to support me, but letting me handle this moment that had been building for 2 decades. "Your children?" I kept my voice level and controlled. "Which children would those be?" Jennifer's carefully rehearsed composure cracked slightly. "David, Lisa, Marcus, James, and Sophia. I know they're adults now, but they're still my children. I gave birth to them. I have rights." I almost laughed out loud. Rights. After 20 years of absolutely nothing, no calls, no cards, no child support, no interest in their lives whatsoever, she wanted to claim rights. "You gave up those rights when you left in 2005, I said calmly. "Legally and practically. Maria adopted them years ago. You lost any legal claim when you abandoned them." "I was young and confused," Jennifer said, the excuse sounding practiced and hollow. "Robert promised me things would be different in El Paso. I thought I'd come back eventually when I got my life together. Eventually took 20 years. She looked past me, trying to see inside the house where she once lived, desperately searching for any sign of the children she'd abandoned. "I know I made mistakes, Fernando, but I'm their mother. Blood is blood. They need to know I want to be part of their lives now." That's when David's voice cut through the morning air with the precision of a razor. "No, we really don't." I turned to see him standing behind Maria in the hallway. My oldest son was 26 now, tall and broad-shouldered from years of baseball and good nutrition, confident and successful. Everything a father hopes his son becomes. "David," Jennifer breathed, reaching toward him as if she could touch a ghost. "You've grown so much. You look just like your father when I met him." "I'm nothing like him," David said firmly but without shouting. "He stayed. He raised us. He worked extra jobs when needed and never abandoned his responsibilities because life got difficult." Lisa appeared next, having heard the commotion from the garage where she'd been unloading art supplies. At 24, she was preparing for her 5th local exhibition, her talent having evolved far beyond those early refrigerator drawings into sophisticated paintings. She glanced at Jennifer and crossed her arms defensively. "Let me guess," Sarah said, her artist's eye catching every detail of Jennifer's appearance. "Life didn't turn out like you planned in El Paso, and now you want to play mom with successful adult children you had no part in raising." Jennifer's eyes filled with tears that looked more desperate than genuine. "I never stopped thinking about you, any of you. I just needed to find myself, discover who I was outside of being a wife and mother." "Find yourself?" Lisa's voice carried a hurt but controlled tone. "We were 3, 4, 6, and 20 months old. We needed you as a mother, not for you to go on some selfish journey of self-discovery at our expense." The twins, Marcus and James, appeared together as they always did. At 23, they'd both grown into fine young men, Marcus with his tech job confidence and James with his teacher's patience. They stood side by side, a united front, looking at Jennifer with identical expressions of cool assessment. "You don't get to just show up after 20 years, Marcus said quietly. "Not after everything," James added, finishing his twins' thought as they often did. Sophia arrived last, having received the urgent text from David. At 21, she looked at Jennifer with the same calm evaluation she used when preparing for debate competitions. "You look disappointed," Sophia observed coolly. "Were you expecting some kind of tearful reunion? Maybe you expected we'd grown up damaged and needy, desperate for maternal approval?" Jennifer wiped her eyes with a trembling hand. "I hoped you'd at least give me a chance to explain. I'm your mother. I carried you for 9 months. I gave birth to you." "Maria Santos is our mother," Sophia said with the calm of someone who'd thought this through many times. "She earned that title by being there for 20 years. You were just the woman who gave birth to us." The cruelty of that statement would have devastated me if it had been directed at anyone who deserved compassion. But Jennifer had lost the right to gentle treatment when she chose her own perceived happiness over her children's fundamental need for stability and love. "Can I fix this?" Jennifer pleaded, looking desperately between all of them, her voice taking on a frantic tone. "I have time now. Robert and I, that didn't work out. I'm free to focus on family. I want to be a grandmother to your future children." "Too late," David said with devastating simplicity. "About 19 years and 51 weeks too late." Jennifer turned to me, perhaps thinking I might be more understanding, more willing to forgive past sins for the sake of some imagined future reconciliation. "Fernando, surely you understand. People make mistakes. I was in a bad place mentally back then. I've grown since then. I've learned from my mistakes." I studied her face carefully, seeing the desperation and sense of entitlement fighting there in equal measure. She still didn't get it, even after all these years. She thought this was about forgiveness, about second chances, about healing old wounds and moving forward as some kind of blended family. She couldn't comprehend that there was nothing left to heal, because we'd built something infinitely better in her complete absence. "You're right," I said quietly, my voice carrying 20 years of hard-earned wisdom. "People do make mistakes, but abandoning your children isn't a mistake. It's a choice, and choices have consequences that don't disappear just because you finally regret them." "They're adults now," Jennifer said, grasping at straws with growing desperation. "They can make their own decisions about having a relationship with me. You can't keep me away from them." "We just did," Lisa said with finality. The silence that followed was profound and complete. Jennifer looked at her biological children, successful, confident, loved, and utterly complete without her. And maybe she finally understood the magnitude of what she'd given up. These weren't the broken, needy, damaged children she might have expected to find. They were whole human beings who hadn't just survived her abandonment, but had thrived because of her absence. "I see," Jennifer said finally, her voice barely above a whisper. I suppose I understand." She turned to leave, then stopped and looked back one last time. "For what it's worth, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry." "Are you sorry you left, or sorry it didn't work out with Robert?" Sophia asked with prosecutorial precision. Jennifer couldn't answer. She had no answer because we all knew the truth. She was sorry her life hadn't turned out as she'd imagined. But she didn't truly regret leaving because she still didn't understand what she'd destroyed. She walked to her dented Versa and drove away. probably back to her studio apartment in El Paso, to her Walmart job, to whatever remained of the life she'd chosen over us. We watched until her taillights disappeared around the corner. Then Maria stepped forward and wrapped me in her arms in the kind of embrace that had held our family together for over a decade. "Are you okay?" she asked, though she already knew the answer. I nodded. "More than okay." David, Lisa, Marcus, James, and Sophia gathered around us in the kind of family hug we'd perfected over the years. Genuine, warm, chosen rather than obligated. This was our victory. Not revenge in any traditional sense, but something far more satisfying. We'd built a family based on choice, commitment, and unconditional love. Jennifer's absence hadn't broken us. It had made us stronger, more resilient, more grateful for what we had. That afternoon, as Maria and I sat on our back patio watching the sunset over the mountains, she asked if I felt vindicated by Jennifer's pathetic return. "No," I said honestly. "I feel grateful. Grateful she left when she did. If she hadn't, maybe I never would have learned what real love actually looks like. The kids might never have known what it means to be truly cherished and valued. You might never have been their mother." My revenge wasn't dramatic or cruel in any traditional sense. It was simply this. I had raised 5 incredible human beings who chose me, chose Maria, chose the family we'd built together through 20 years of daily commitment. Jennifer could return to her empty apartment in El Paso, to whatever remained of the life she'd traded us for, but she could never reclaim or undo what she'd thrown away. Some doors, once closed by our own choices, never open again. Some opportunities, once rejected, never return. Jennifer learned that truth 20 years too late, and that was the most perfect justice any of us could have asked for.